It was just a month ago when Ontario Premier Doug Ford was talking about how he's going to put up these new Ontario is open for business signs all across the province to show people that when they come into the province, they're going to see, oh, Ontario is open for business. I'm going to bring my business here because Doug Ford has now told me that Ontario is open for business. Obviously, it was all complete bullshit. And those signs cost more than $106,000 because, yeah, that's how a fiscally conservative government should run. Spend a bunch of money on some fucking signs. Not to mention, shortly following that, just this week, GM laid off 2,500 employees in Ontario, which is open for business, but closed for business to, I guess, GM that apparently can't afford to keep their employees employed here. Now, Doug Ford, he knows. Doug Ford knows exactly why this happened. Look what Doug Ford tweeted out. Justin Trudeau can't campaign for a job, killing carbon tax on Monday, and wonder why manufacturing and automotive jobs are leaving on Tuesday. Save our manufacturing jobs, Justin Trudeau. Scrap your carbon tax. Yeah, that is all just a complete load of shit. So, GM has just closed 4 plants in the U.S. 1 plant in Oshawa, Ontario, 4 plants in the U.S. Is there a carbon tax in the U.S.? No, there isn't. It's not the carbon tax. So, as I broke down in a previous video, here is how well GM has been doing. Made $2.5 billion in profit last quarter, spent 295 times more than the average GM worker on CEO pay at $22 million, spent $14 billion on stock buybacks since 2014, and received $3.29 billion in taxpayer-funded bailout money in 2008. But the one thing I did not mention in my previous video on GM is that GM supports the carbon tax. They support carbon pricing, even though Doug Ford is telling you that is the reason they had to leave. Oh, these jobs, they're all gone because GM just can't afford this carbon tax. Complete bullshit. They have an entire webpage. GM has an entire webpage built around their support for a carbon tax, even in the absence of one in America. And GM's reasoning for closing the plants is that they are halting production on a number of gas-powered vehicles. They are moving away from fossil fuels. This has absolutely nothing to do with the carbon tax. And in fact, Doug Ford, because of the moves that he has made, has now made Ontario less attractive for businesses working in renewable energies. So let me show you this from the National Observer. Last year, the company, referring to GM, announced several new electric vehicles would be added to its manufacturing roster. The car manufacturer said Monday it now intends to prioritize future vehicle investments in its next generation battery electric architectures. But in its first 5 months in office, the Ford government has eliminated rebate programs for electric car buyers and scrapped all policies that would make Ontario an attractive place for such clean economy manufacturing initiatives, including the cancellation of 758 clean energy contracts, a cap and trade program to reduce carbon emissions, and no plan to address climate change. So Doug Ford has actively worked against this new industry, which could be saving these jobs and creating new jobs. Now, let me show you a clip from a real leader, Ontario Green Party leader Mike Schreiner, on his proposed solution to this problem.
Over the weekend, media reported that manufacturer BYD has put its proposed electric bus manufacturing facility in Ontario on hold. We are all well aware of the devastating news in Oshawa resulting from GM's restructuring to invest in electric and autonomous vehicles. As a matter of fact, automakers are pledging they will be investing $255 billion in EV R&D between now and 2023. Mr. Speaker, the world is changing, and Ontario needs a plan. To the acting Premier, will you commit today to develop an auto strategy for Ontario to become a leader in the electric vehicle revolution, so we don't lose jobs to jurisdictions embracing EVs?
The acting Premier.
So again, that was Ontario Green Party leader Mike Schreiner with an actual plan for new jobs in Ontario. Now, it appears GM has no interest in building those cars here, but there are potentially other companies that would be willing to move their business here if Ontario is truly open for business, as Doug Ford claims it is. So let me give you an example. This is from Sudbury EV Association. Volkswagen is looking to build an electric car factory in North America. This is something we should be pursuing. There you go. Doug Ford. If Doug Ford gave a shit about these jobs, gave a shit about actually bringing jobs to this province, he would try and invest into an industry that is now exploding. But what he has done instead is shut himself off from the green industry for who knows why. I mean, honestly, Doug Ford is an idiot. So if you voted for this guy, if you voted for this party, understand who he is and what he is doing. He is lying to your face about what the problem is. And then when proposed with actual solutions, he will ignore them because he doesn't care about actual facts. He does not listen to science, facts, or what would actually help people. He does not care about the average person. He cares about the landlords. He cares about the wealthy business owners. He cares about the rich. Doug Ford, as I've said every time because it needs reminding, Doug Ford was born into a wealthy family. He inherited his business, his money. His father was an MPP and had all the connections Doug Ford will ever need. Doug Ford is incredibly privileged, has never shown any example of him actually caring for the average person. He has frozen wages. He has taken away 2 paid sick days. He has completely destroyed the renewable energy industry in Ontario, or at least is attempting to. Doug Ford does not care for the average person. He is not for the people, and Ontario is not open for business. They're completely empty campaign slogans that mean absolutely nothing. So if you support this party or this idiot, wake up and look at reality.